All right, guys. Well, welcome back. So, my time with this truck is kind of coming to a close here. I think I'm going to probably have my GMC within a month or two, it looks like. So, I want to make a video really quick talking about my 5 least favorite things about this truck. It's been mostly a good owner experience, but I want to kind of hit on a couple things that maybe you should be aware of or whatever. Just my personal things that I haven't liked about this truck. So, let's get into it. All right, guys, so number one, easily, I don't want to say easily, but the first thing that grinds my gears about this truck for sure is this interior. Now, I absolutely love my interior on this truck. I think it is absolutely beautiful. The materials they use, it's fantastic. I mean, lots of real wood, leather, metals. I mean, it's awesome. But guys, the interior is kind of put together like SHIT. Both the belt buckles on either side fall off constantly. I can't even tell you how many rattles and shakes and shimmies. The screen here in the summertime will sound like it's like snapping in half and cracking. When it gets above maybe 75, 80 degrees outside, that drives me crazy. When it's cold, these vents go crazy. This sunroof is really noisy, and it sounds like oftentimes like marbles. If you can imagine the sound of like marbles hitting glass, if you dropped like a 5-gallon bucket of marble slowly on it, it's the craziest sound ever. It's just, I don't know. You can't really listen to the stereo very loud sometimes because there's so much shit that's just vibrating apart, it sounds like. So overall, the materials and everything, phenomenal. Final execution, not 100% there. So, yeah, I don't know. It's okay. Most of the times it's not bad, but sometimes it really pisses me off. So that's really the biggest thing. The first thing is I wish they just did maybe a little bit better job putting this whole thing together, because otherwise it'd be an absolute masterpiece. It really would be. All right, guys, so really quick intermission here. We had to go get Courtney some flowers because it's Valentine's Day. So in the midst of our little flower mission here, let's talk about number 2 and let's talk about number 3. I say that because I think they might be they might be correlated or coming from the same problem or the same sore spot. I don't know for sure, but we're going to kind of talk about them like they're one, but a little bit separate. So number 2 is going to be tow haul mode, guys. So tow haul mode on this truck, when you're decelerating, a lot of times what'll happen is, truck will be in 6th gear, it'll go to 5th, and then it tries to do this rapid progression through the gears going down to try and build up 2,800-ish, 3,000 RPM to really get some power out of the exhaust brake. Well, when it does that, what it's basically been doing is it will neutral drop. It will have no gear for about 5 to 10 seconds or so, and then it will slam into 3rd gear. So that whole time, you have no exhaust brake because the truck isn't really in any gear. It's kind of just floating with no torque converter lockout at all. So ultimately what you get is you're basically just free coasting, and the truck is dependent on slowing down with the brakes only, which is not ideal when you're going down when you're going on like a downhill off ramp on a freeway with 12,000 pounds behind you. Now, can you stop? Does it have the braking power? Absolutely. Trailer's got trailer brakes on it, obviously. So, it's not the end of the world, but when it does it, those 5 to 10 seconds matter, I would say. I don't know anybody that would argue against that. So that can get pretty frustrating, and I don't particularly love getting my head bucked off the seat when it decides that 3rd gear is, going from 5th to 3rd basically is a good idea. It's not ideal. So that's kind of been a pain, but that takes me right into the transmission issues that I've been having. And again, I say this because I say these are kind of related, maybe because there's behaviors that are kind of correlated. So lately, at least the last 5 to 7,000 miles or so, when I put this thing into gear, guys, it might take 5 seconds, it might take 3 seconds, but typically what it's been doing is it will have a really hard slam into 1st gear from park or from reverse or whatever. Doesn't matter if you're stationary, even if you hold your foot on the brake so the truck doesn't roll, but especially if you let the truck, if you just take your foot off the brake and after you put it into gear, because you assume it's going to start rolling, right? Because normally before, it would just go right into gear for me. It doesn't do that anymore. It takes 5 to 7 seconds at least, I would say. So when you do that and it slams into gear and it again does that thing where it kind of bucks your head off the seat, I've never felt that before in a transmission. So that's been frustrating, but also what I've been having is really aggressive downshifts as far as like firm, hard downshifts. Now, again, these have only been recent. Tow haul mode has always kind of done this. Transmission issues have been more recent or so, 5 to 10,000 miles or so ago. And what I've also been having lately is the torque converter won't lock out. So I think torque converter lockout on this truck is either at the top of third or in fourth gear. I don't know for sure. You would think I would know that since I only have driven this truck 43,500 miles, that I would pay attention to that, but it's somewhere in there. I'll just have it in a few times where I'm just going down the road and it just doesn't lock out at all, and I'm in 6th gear and it's like I'm in 2nd gear, where when you hit the gas, you can just get it to fluctuate from 1,200 RPM to 1,800 or 2,000 RPM, and the truck doesn't really go anywhere. So definitely some funky stuff going on with the 68 RFE in this truck. I'm not thrilled with it. I don't love it, the behavior, and to me, it gives me worries about premature transmission failure. So that's number 2. That's number 3. Again, are they correlated? I don't know, probably. This transmission doesn't exactly have the best reputation. I kind of stood up for it in the beginning because it really is a nice daily driver, but as of late, I don't know about that one. So that's it. Number 2, number 3. All right, guys. So for number 4, we're down here under the truck, hanging out, and it's this old thing right here, the DPF. Now, I'm not going to talk necessarily on emissions control stuff and all that. I'll keep my opinions to myself on that. But for God's sakes, guys, if it takes 30 to 35 minutes sometimes to get through a regen, it's just annoying. I mean, I get it. You got to regen. But if you don't have to drive more than 30 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes, it's you got to kind of keep going. I don't think this truck really likes to start-stop regens. So that drives me crazy, and it also burns like 2 to 3 gallons of diesel fuel. I've seen it take my fuel economy from like 22 to 19 on an average overall on a trip, because it does a regen right when I get to the end, and for God's sakes, it guzzles gas. So as far as that all goes, regen timeframes and fuel use on the regens, it's kind of a pain in the ass. All right, guys, so really the last thing is just these old gen mirrors with the flip-up style, you know. I don't know, they're just okay. It's kind of hard to see with the mirrors up with a big trailer, and it's kind of hard to see with the mirrors down when you're not towing. They're really not amazing either way. They're not terrible, but like I would give them like a 4 out of 10. I mean, they're not great, you know, but again, these are the old gen mirrors. They got the new ones on the 2023s, which are, I think, only marginally better, to be honest. I don't think they're that much better. Like maybe 15-20% better. They're still not as good as the Fords, and they're still not as good as the GMs and GMCs and the Chevys. So yeah, mirrors, they're fine. You know, it makes it a pain in the ass to back up sometimes because I just can't see that well. All right, guys, so after about 18, 19 months of ownership, those are the 5 things that I like most, or like least about this truck. Overall, I love this truck. That engine is a gem. The transmission is debatable, but, you know, I love my interior still. I love the truck performance. The stereo is amazing. It's comfortable, all the above, really. But no truck is perfect, and, you know, we spend a lot of money on these things, guys, so, you know, I figured if you're gonna spend almost $100,000 out the door, or, you know, whatever on these trucks, oh my God, it might as well be worth it. I guess that ends the video. See ya.